So we have this layout called the FAQs layout. It's intended for the FAQs page, and it uses frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions are, well, they can be really important to the success of your website. If every time a customer asked a question via email or phone, you took that question and answer and put it on your website, you could potentially save yourself time by having to ask the question over and over again, as well as possibly converting browsers into buyers by just having that information on your website. The more pertinent information that you can have on your website in an organized fashion, the more confidence people are going to have in order to use you as a qualified source if you're using it for sales. If you're not, feel you don't need to use this FAQs page if you don't want to. But I can see that, for a school site, questions about, are there any overdue charges for library books? When does the school bell sound? When do report cards come out? FAQs have all sorts of purpose, and you can use them in all sorts of different manners. We have two configuration settings for the FAQs page. We have the default, which is where I'll just show you where this is at. The FAQs are displayed in a new page, and by that I mean when you click on this and you click on an FAQ, it takes you to a whole new page specifically designed for this FAQ. There's two purposes for this. There's the purpose to keep your original page clean, so your FAQs landing page here clean, and if you have many questions, that this will allow you to keep it clean and concise and have people go and dig for them. And then the other purpose is so that search engines can index an individual page and so that the information is not too muddied up. So for example, if you use FAQs, and you don't need to call them FAQs, you can call them, help topics. You can call them findings if you're in the science community. So on this page, you might be, like scientific findings about a certain study, rate of growth, I don't know, reaction to heat, that sort of thing. And so you can click on it and find out what that particular topic is all about. It's a way of organizing information, really, is what it is. But typically in the web industry, we use it for an FAQs, or frequently asked questions. So there's this method where you can click and then view the FAQ, especially if it's a very large answer or a very large set of information here, to have a separate page. And if you use images, that's also an important thing to make sure that you have a separate page. However, there is another option, and that's when you use it specifically and often for things such as sales and service questions and frequently asked questions about your products. And maybe you have probably no more than maybe 50, and the answers are short one or two sentences, maybe even a small paragraph. Then you can use this option where you can display the FAQs in page. So we're going to reload this, and we're going to see that now we have the FAQs, and now when you click on it, it hyperlinks to the page, down into the page where that particular question is asked and answered. Okay. Again, it can be divided up into categories because the FAQs are defined over here under FAQs and the FAQ categories, and you can have sales and support. Whatever you consider to be a category for the information. And now again, we call them FAQs, but they don't need to be questions necessarily. They could be, findings, or, as I was saying, for the scientific community, it's just a way of listing a bunch of information on the same page. Okay. And with this, you can have the categories, if these were ordered into categories, category 1, and then category 2 with the FAQs listed down below there, and then of course there'll still be the hyperlinks up at the top of the page that jump down into the page. And again, this is really designed for when there's not too many FAQs, when you don't want the visitor clicking off and then coming back, clicking off, coming back for a lot of questions. It's often good for sales information. So that's really all there is to the options for the FAQ layout. It uses a minimized style of page where there is no showcase up at the top. You're going to see, just like all the rest of the layouts, you've got a locked region, and then you've got unlocked regions. And the unlocked regions, you can configure the sidebars as you wish, configure the columns. And for any locked region, you're going to see that there are different components that you can configure under the General tab. Again, you can configure your navigation and your branding, but unlike the home page, you will not have a slider listed here. Probably a good idea to make sure that your FAQ, SEO and metadata, page metadata is configured here as well. But that's more or less all there is to the page. You can place your frequently asked questions or whichever you want for content here as well, and it will show up at the top of the page here. You can have as much as you like. Just understand that you want to keep things above the fold so that your questions start to be answered here. Anyways, I hope that makes sense and answers your question.